You're listening to Nerds Out of Water with Michael Lobb and David Camus.
Good afternoon and welcome to Nerds Out of Water. Nerds Out of Water is a podcast brought to you by Michael Lobb and myself, David Camus, two good friends who have been partnering in business for over 20 years. Michael's running TeamScale, providing trusted technology advice and solutions to companies having trouble scaling up. He enables those businesses to grow and keep technology on track. I run One Bright Cloud, where I head up a team of techies and futurists looking at autonomous vehicles, AI, and digital transformations as a prerequisite to Industry 4.0. We challenge our own perspectives and try and see them from each other's. You don't need to agree with us, but after listening to a show, you normally have an idea of where we're heading. Now, Michael is very busy this week and is unable to catch up with you. So Smokey the cat and I have decided that it's quite important to keep going. There are a number of issues that have come out over the last 24, 48 hours that we have been talking about that I would like to put forward, specifically around cybersecurity. Overnight, the federal government have released some incredible figures regarding major sophisticated state-based cyber activity that are attacking trade and government industries over the last few months. This has been an ongoing issue, and there have been major attacks on state government departments holding sensitive data. Now, the PM doesn't want to point the finger at China, even though the article starts China is behind the major cyber attacks. But I think you need to look at this bigger, because it doesn't matter whether it's China, India, Russia. There are every action of country trying to attack us at the present time. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I think last week we had Lions being hit. And this is the owners of Tui's Beer, James Squire and Forex. They were hit and brought all production systems down across Australia for probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, with absolutely no way of producing beer. They've gone back online, and then overnight we've heard they've been attacked again, a major cyber attack, and its manufacturing and IT systems have been crippled a second time. And theoretically, there's been a ransom reported of over $1 million to try to allow them to go back online. So I really want to talk about cybersecurity and what you can do as a small business, as an individual, and a large business for cybersecurity. And the number one is emails. Never open or respond to a suspicious-looking email. Phishing emails are the number one cause of attacks, how all of these attacks start. So what is a phishing email? A phishing email is simply an email that looks like it's coming from a friend, but it could more likely to be from someone you trust, such as eBay or your bank or your energy provider. And it may say, "We have seen suspicious activity on your account. Please click the link below and log in." Let me tell you now, your bank, your eBay, your energy provider will never ask you to log in using a link in an email. They will contact you by a third-party means, whether that is through your phone or through a secondary email. They won't ask you through a link in an email. This is how phishing starts. And they'll make you feel safe. They will say, "We will never ask for your password. Just log in below." Because they're not asking for your password. They're just going to steal it when you log in on the link below. Am I sounding like I'm singing from a hymn sheet that everybody has been talking about and they've been hearing about, that's probably because 1 in 3 people in Australia had a phishing attack in 2018. Now, I know that I get phishing attacks all the time. I get them from my neighbors, apparently. Apparently, they're watching me and want to catch up with me. I get them from eBay and I get them from my banks. I know none of them are real. So 1 in 25 emails that are sent around the world are phishing emails. The majority of them, over 40%, say they're from Microsoft. So over 40% of emails say they are upgrading your Office. They are upgrading your Windows system. And they say they're from Microsoft. They are posing to be Microsoft. In Australia alone, nearly 80% of organisations were targeted by phishing emails. And once you click on that email, once you have accepted what's in it, that's when it starts getting difficult. The average cost for a data breach in a large business is $3.86 million. So nearly $4 million if you have a large company. Phishing attacks account for 90% of data breaches around the world. We are talking incredibly large numbers of emails, an incredibly large number of attacks. And now is the time that you need to be vigilant. So never open or respond to a suspicious looking email, even if it appears to be from somebody you know. If you think it isn't right, if you think you don't owe them the money that's in that invoice, or you don't think they owe you the money that's in that invoice, then don't open the invoice because it may not be them. Give them a phone call and make sure. Once you open that email, you are liable to lose your identity, to lose money, or become locked out of your systems. So while browsing the web, phishing may happen on poor websites, on ads that pop up. So be very careful what you click on from an ad point of view. So the number one thing I've got to ask you is to make sure you do not open suspicious emails. And I know that if you get one, 70% of you will open it. I've been trialing this with businesses we've been training. And after we've finished training them, people still open the suspicious emails. Make sure the sites you visit are secure. That's the little padlock. HTTPS. Make sure they are a secure site. Make sure they're definitely secure before you add anything into them. So this is really important. Once you have stopped yourself from opening that incredibly interesting email that you're going to get hacked onto, then install something. Install antivirus. Make sure your system has an antivirus software that is reliable, has anti-malware contained within it, and is updated regularly. Because that anti-malware software is essential to stop the unwanted attacks and to filter harmful downloads. What you are trying to do with these multiple layers of cybersecurity is to make it difficult. The more difficult you make it for an attacker to get in, the more likely they're going to turn around and walk away. So now you're protecting yourself with an antivirus, you're updating your antivirus, you're updating your anti-malware. Update the fixes on your Windows, on your Office, on your applications, because this is where people will try and hack through to get into your system. Put a firewall onto your account. Firewalls protect you not just from incoming traffic, but also from outgoing traffic. So if somebody gets in, you can try and block them from coming out. Again, another layer to make it more difficult for them. It prevents the hackers from entering your network, and it blocks potentially dangerous websites from playing around in your system. Something we've been speaking about over the last couple of weeks was passwords. Make sure your passwords are complex. Don't use any of the top 1,000 passwords. If you go onto Google top 1,000 passwords. They are all over the place. Hacking 101, you can purchase the top 1,000 passwords. Use something that is difficult. Use a complex password, a combination of upper and lowercase letters, alphanumeric, and some spaces. Put it into a phrase, such as, Mary had a little lamb. It's not that difficult. You can remember that. Now add an exclamation mark at the end or in the middle or after every word. Now change the A for the ampersand. Now it's getting very complex. That's what you want. Mary had a little lamb. Make up your own nursery rhyme. Make up your own song. Never use your username on or enter your password on public Wi-Fi. I know that we can go down to the town centre here. We can open up a backpack and we can change our own router and call it Brisbane City Council Free Internet. And people will log into our Brisbane City Council Free Internet. And while they're logging on, I can hack them. I can steal their data as it's going through my system onto the web. They would have no idea. These are things that happen in airports, in city malls, all around the world. If you're on a public Wi-Fi, be careful. Change those passwords every 60 days, maybe every 90 days. Change the password. Maybe if you started a nursery rhyme, keep it going. Use the next phrase. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. All the king's horses, all the king's men. Whatever you want. Change it so you remember it and it's easy. And then keep that going every 90 days. Make backup copies of your data. If you're using free Gmail and you're using Google Drive, and it's the free Google Drive, be very, very wary. If you lose access to that because you've been hacked, because it's been locked, you have no repercussions. If you have lost your access to your free email, Google will do very little to help you. That's why it's free. So look at your emails, look at the data and the pictures you've got on your drive and work out whether it's worth the $8 a month or $24 a month or whatever it might be to make it a G Suite. Remembering G Suite is covered. G Suite you get support for. Make sure you have a backup email listed, whether it's Gmail or G Suite. Make sure you have a phone that is not connected to your account in that account so they can use it as a backup. There are definitely benefits to pay for what you get. So going back to the backups, back up everything. Back up your phone, back up your drives, back up the data on your Google Drive onto an offline drive. I back it up onto a hard drive that I keep locked in a safe. Once a week, I back everything up. Because if someone steals my data, if somebody locks me out my system, I want to be able to get back up and running quickly. And I don't want to pay anybody because my data is mine. So back up that data on an external hard drive so that you can access it again. Remember, your cloud backup, if it's linked to your account and you're locked, you will not have access to it. Think about it. The final thing would be laptops and smartphones. iPhones, every device is susceptible to being attacked. They all have vulnerabilities. Doesn't matter how great your system is, it will have a vulnerability. So back them up, and then if they're not in use, lock them away. You are the only person who knows how much data and the value of that data that you have on those systems. So if you want to protect them, then protect them by locking them away. So just to recap that lot, ignore your suspicious emails because that's how people are going to start to get into your system. Don't click on links because that's how they download things into your system. Install antivirus and anti-malware to try and stop them from installing malware onto your system. Protect yourself with a firewall so that those suspicious websites aren't able to gain access and aren't able to send data out of your system. Use a complex password and change them regularly without giving them out to anyone. Make backups of all your data, and then keep safe your laptops and smartphones. Okay, that's probably enough of my preaching for today. The other thing I wanted to talk about is we spoke about be kind to yourself last week, and this week I want to talk about managers be kind to others. It's really important for businesses to remember that routine is vitally important at the moment. When people start coming back to work, whether it's 2 or 3 days a week, or whether it's 5 days a week, or 1, routine is still very important to everybody. And that keeps them and you on track. So make sure they know when you're going to catch up with them at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. for your 5-minute phone call. Make sure that you keep this regular and you don't give it up for other important events, because your staff are important. Manage the social flows. Now, when I say that, give people the time to talk to each other when you first log into a meeting. People are going back to work. They're really worried about going back to work. They're anxious of, what if I get sick? What if my husband gets sick? What if my wife gets sick? What if my children get sick? I don't really want to speak to people. I need to speak to people. Everything will be going around in their heads. So allow them to speak to each other online or offline. Give people that 5 minutes. I know it is taking time out of the day, and time costs money, but so does people's mental health. Everybody has mental health, so support it. You as a manager, you've got to look after yourself, but you also have to look after your team. Your team is important, and they want to know and see that you're looking after them. So make sure they have access to support. Make sure they have access to you. Make sure they have access to others where they can talk to. Because vulnerability has many faces. It can come in many disguises. It can come as financial problems. It can come as alcohol problems or drugs. It can come as violence to men, to women, to children, domestic violence. It is all a problem at the moment. Mental health and trying to get through life at the present time is difficult. So look after your team. Make sure they have somewhere to go. After talking to you, they want to know that they can talk to others. Beyond Blue. Beyond Blue is somewhere that Nerds Out of Water support wholeheartedly. Please give your team a link to Beyond Blue. Let them know it's regular. Let them know it's not a one-off. Promote this access. Promote it so they know that there is a way or that they can go to past you, past your company support, and outside. People need support. And as I said earlier, use technology for the social aspects, because while people are logging in from home, working from home, allow them to use that Skype meeting, allow them to use whatever the video conferencing you have to take 5 minutes to catch up before you pull everybody up and you start talking. And then look at the opportunities. Look at the opportunities for growth with the people working from home. What can you show them? What can you provide them to give development alongside what they're doing to make them feel this is really worth it, to give them a positive attitude? People who work at work are going to work 10 times as hard at home. People who don't work at work won't work at home. So those ones who aren't working, you need to think about what tools you can provide them that will allow them to become productive, because everyone will be able to get productive if you give them the right tools. And finally, encourage people to have their personal planning, encourage them to have self-care, encourage them to take time for themselves, because be kind to your mind, as we spoke about last week, is each of us looking after our own minds. And this, as a manager, is me encouraging you to be responsible for be kind to your mind of your team. So I leave it there. I leave you thinking about cybersecurity and how you're not going to get attacked. Be mindful of your mind as both an individual and as a manager. And I will log off. I'd like to thank everybody for their time. Please subscribe to our podcast. Sorry it was only me today. Next week, we'll have a lot more detail. Michael will be back on board. The week after that, I believe we have guests, which is wonderful. And if you would like to comment, please comment below on any of the podcast applications that you're using. Subscribe to us so you can hear more of us and go back and listen to our other podcasts. I will say goodbye and I'll see you later. Thank you very much for listening.